Welcome to another edition of Great Health, Abundant Happiness, and Outrageous Love. Mwah. What did you want to talk about tonight, my love?
Well, we're going to do a series on forgiveness. So specifically, this video, we're going to talk about self-love and forgiveness. And again, this is going to be very specific to forgiving ourselves. Things happen in life. Sometimes really bad things happen in life. Sometimes things happen and you blame yourself. For us personally, this is very personal, but we had several miscarriages and I started to blame myself because they were all about the same time in the pregnancy, which was a little bit later. And I would blame myself for maybe I ate the wrong foods. Maybe I did too much. You start to
I get what you're saying.
Blame yourself, and that can drive you crazy, but it can really wreak havoc with your happiness. We also were talking today about a friend, if you want to get really serious here, who was driving a car and fell asleep, and the passenger, who was a best friend, passed away in that accident. And it would be impossible to go on in life if you don't forgive yourself. There's nothing you can do to change the past except moving forward, trying not to repeat it.
Well, I think, so we were out on a run, we're kind of talking about this, and this got all spurred from some posts that we have out there in social media, and a couple of people were asking for advice who were having trouble with self-love because they couldn't forgive themselves on certain things. So that's what spurred this whole conversation. Right. And we were talking about it. So
I think in that case it was someone who had cheated and couldn't forgive themselves, or
which is nothing compared to what we were talking about. So we were just talking about like the extreme, like somebody did something and someone actually died, and you really still have to forgive yourself. I mean, they didn't do it on purpose, obviously. Terrible. But that's an extreme example. I guess that's why we're talking about this, because we started talking about things in our life and things about what other people have done and how they had to get past it. And it's not always easy, right? It's not always easy, but to get to that place of self-love, which is a strong foundation in your life, you certainly have to not only forgive yourself, but then you have to put yourself, I don't know if on a pedestal is the right word, but you have to put yourself up there like you're a great person. Everything about you is great. I mean, that's what self-love is all about. I like to call it,
you have to have bulletproof self-love, bulletproof self-worth, right? So that no matter what comes along, your own self-love is bulletproof. And once you have that and you're overflowing with it, again, we've talked about this, then and only then can any other love come into your life. But in this particular case, we already talked about worst case scenarios. So most of us have things that, we hold ourselves accountable for that we did that in light of some really bad things, which we also need to forgive ourselves for. They are pretty insignificant, but things happen for a reason.
Right. I'm only laughing because I have to tell you, to this day, I still remember it was one of my first or second days in school, in kindergarten. I mean, this is a funny thing.
But this is relative
to your age. Here I am, 56 years old, still thinking about this.
I'm 29.
Anyway, someone left a black crayon on a white, tile floor, and I was walking with my shiny school shoes back then.
Kindergarten.
Back then,
you're 5.
Yeah, well, back then we didn't wear sneakers. It was a different time. I guess I don't know. I was wearing shoes. Stepped on the crayon and skidded across the floor, and I was just horrified. Here I am at school. I finally went to school, ruined the floor as far as I knew, and obviously it all worked out. But I'm still thinking about it today, 56 years old. This is 50-something years later.
Exactly.
I mean, that's just a stupid example. So,
but it's relative to the age and what you knew was bad. That was the worst thing that could happen.
The point are even stupid things like that. I bring this up just to kind of, you got full spectrum, right? A crayon mark on the floor and someone dies. I mean, you think about the full spectrum, but everything in between, people carry this shit with them their whole life.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's like, you do have to forgive yourself, whatever level it's at, right?
Exactly. And I mean, it's imperative to do that. And I think it's a really great exercise to think about. I don't think that you want to just say, well, it happened, I'm sorry it happened, the end. I think it's really imperative to say, wow, this bad thing happened. There was a reason, there's a lesson. I have definitely, exactly. I mean, that's why these things happen, because we need to learn the lessons in life. And then moving forward, we have choices. And obviously, we don't want to make the same choices to put us back there. But things do happen, and they don't happen on purpose. I mean, that's such a great point, Jeffrey.
Yeah.
We didn't do these things on purpose. They happened, and someone might say, well, you were driving and you fell asleep. You should have pulled over. Well, of course I should have pulled over, but I didn't.
You should have been watching as you were walking and not stepped on that crayon. Like, it's funny, but even somewhere in the middle, it's bringing me up another thought about someone I know, a friend that got divorced, and it was a very painful thing in the middle where he was telling me, like, maybe I shouldn't have done that. I screwed everything up, but it's too late. So it's like, it's everything across the spectrum, but you do have to, I like, Karen always says this, I mean, everything happens for a reason. And what that means to me is you do have to learn a lesson. Okay, so you got divorced and you probably shouldn't have, but guess what? Life has to move on because there's no going back. The other person's married, you're married, and you've decided to go down these paths. You just have to let that go and move forward. It doesn't have to carry along with you as a ball and chain. Maybe it does carry in your memories, but it shouldn't have to drag you back.
Right.
I mean, you really need to.
It should actually catapult you forward.
It could.
In some ways, and it should change your life for the better, because again, there's a great lesson in everything that we forgive ourselves for.
Well, there's a famous saying that I love to point to at times like these: if it doesn't kill us, it makes us stronger. So anything that happens to you, I mean, that's a great way to think about it. If it doesn't take your life, it should make you stronger in this life, because you should learn something from it, right? I mean,
I love that. That's so perfect.
You've got to take something from it, right?
Exactly. So just to wrap up, self-love is the key to all other loves. We talk about it in a lot of videos. We've got a series on it. This specific topic is forgiving yourself for everything that has happened in the past, and knowing that it happened for a reason, and we can take those lessons and we can move forward.
Yeah, and if you want to talk about any of this, you can ping us down below or send us a note privately, but we would love to talk about it. But remember, if it didn't kill you, it should make you stronger. I mean, that's just the way you should look at it, right?
I love that. Wishing you great health, abundant happiness, and outrageous love from the nest at Copper Mountain.
Thanks for listening, guys. We appreciate it.